friends, Susanna here. I'm not exactly sure what that sad excuse for a wave was, but hello, I am back. I'm here with a video in collaboration with Waffle Flower, which I'm really excited to share with you. They did send me these products for review purposes and for use in this video, so I wanted to let you know ahead of time. Um, but of course, I'll never share a product with you guys that I don't truly love, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me use these many times already, so I'm sure you know that I'm absolutely in love with them right now. So the first part of my video, for some reason, ended up just being this freeze frame that you're seeing right now, so I'm just going to explain to you what you've missed, which is hardly anything. So far, I've used the fresh rainbow panel die to cut out 7 panels. So I've cut out 2 from white cardstock, and then 5, just checking to make sure I did my math right, 5 from colored cardstock. Then I went ahead and I sandwiched the olive green frame between the 2 white frames, and that's just going to give a little bit of dimension, but also make it to where I didn't have to cut the frame from a white piece a third time. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in from that point, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. So using my liquid adhesive, I'm going to adhere this to the front of a card base, which I pre-scored and pre-cut. Just using my bone folder to get that nice and scored tightly. Then I'm going to use the flat surface of my desk to make sure that I'm adhering that nice and straight on that panel. And this is a full A2 size die, so it will take up the entire front of your A2 size card. I'm just making sure I get enough glue on each of those little rainbow bits so that when I do fill in those blanks with my paper pieces, they don't shift or move around. So we're going to adhere that right on the front. And like I said, I've used this die so many times. I'm sure you've seen me post about it on Instagram because I just cannot get enough of it. It's so cute. So I just used my bone folder to make sure that it was adhered really tightly to the front of the card and everything was flat. And now I'm going to go ahead and start paper piecing. This first piece, you'll notice I struggle quite a bit to get into the little slot, and they aren't difficult to get into the slots. I later realized that I was trying to shove a piece in there that was not supposed to go in there. It was the wrong piece. So in the end, you can't tell, but it would have been a whole lot easier if I just found the right piece. And these colored cardstocks that I'm using are just pieces from my stash, so I unfortunately don't have any color names for you, or brands even, but any colored cardstock that you have in your stash will work just fine for this technique. And you don't even have to do a rainbow pattern. I am following a little bit of a rainbow pattern, doing red, peach, yellow, green, and then blue. But you can do any color combination and it looks so cute. I've even put pattern papers in these little spots. Like I said, I just cannot get enough of it because it's so versatile and there's so many different things you can do with it. So here I'm getting my little peach, which I'm using as orange, in place. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to yellow. And I do save all of these extra little pieces that you're seeing everywhere. I save the frames and I save all of the little inlay pieces. I just put them in a little baggie and keep them with my die. That way, the next time I go to use it, I have these pieces, and if they go along with the project I'm wanting to create, then I don't have to recut the panel, and I can also save paper. And you know what's funny is that I was never a rainbow person. Okay, I take that back. When I was younger, I was a huge rainbow person, but in my crafting, I've never been a huge rainbow person, but for some reason when I'm making cards, I just gravitate towards rainbows and rainbow colors so strongly that I can't deny it. So here I am with a rainbow card. And you know, this one, there were so many different things that I could do with it, and I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and I ended up going the simple route, and sometimes for me, simple is better. And I really love the way that it turned out. So here I am just getting the green adhered, collecting all my pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and start with the blue. And I am going to leave those two pieces, the big white zones, I'm going to leave those free of any paper piecing, just leave them white. I have seen a few people make those, I don't know how to explain it, make them holes, not holes. They don't put a backer on those two places right there so that you can see through to the inside of the card, and I think that is so fun. So I know that I'm going to try that in a future card. Hopefully I'll film a video so you guys can come along on the adventure. So now I'm just making sure I get all of the glue, the dried glue, any glue that I got anywhere else, off the top of the card or the front of the card, collecting all my paper pieces, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the sentiment. So here I am putting the panel, or the card I should say, because it's a full card now, inside my stamp platform, and I'm using the Big Dots Sentiment stamp set. Just aligning my stamp right there in the center of that square. And then because this isn't a stamp that I've used before, you'll see me rubbing my hand along it. And this is what I like to call funking up my stamp. F-U-N-K, funking up my stamp. And if you've watched any of my streams, you're already familiar with my terms. But basically what this does is it seasons your stamp so that you get a nice, crisp, solid image rather than the ink beading on the top of your stamp and making kind of like a splotchy image. When you first use a stamp, it's good to season it. You can do it with like the top of your hand like I did. I sometimes use an eraser or what are those called? The little erasers that you use to erase glue globs, those work as well. So there are a bunch of different ways you can do that, and maybe eventually I'll make a video on all the different ways you can funk up your stamp or season your stamp. But for now, I was just using my hand. So I got that sentiment on there, and I contemplated here for a minute putting like sequins or something else on the front of this card to kind of spice it up. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to let the rainbow shine. I don't need to spice it up. It's already perfect just the way it is. So I just went ahead and left it. And now we're going to move on to card number 2. So I'm using the nested hexagon die set, and I've already got my dies cut here to save a little bit of time and to save you the grief of having to watch me lug my die cutting machine over to this table. Again, I'm using my bone folder to make sure that my card is nice and folded flat. I have a tight, crisp edge on that. And then what I'm going to do is create a little handle with some extra just scrap cardstock so that when I do my ink blending, I don't have to put my fingers on my little hexagons there. And I started out, I don't know why I did this, but I was using my permanent adhesive, so you'll notice the first two, the backs of my hexagons get a little tiny bit frayed, ripped, shredded. You can't tell in the end, but I eventually switched to my temporary adhesive, which is what I should have done in the first place. So here are the 5 colors of Distress Oxides that I am using to do these hexagons. So I'm using Tattered Rose, Wild Honey, Speckled Egg, Scattered Straw, and Peeled Paint. And I'm just going to do one of each. So right now I'm going in with Speckled Egg, and I'm struggling here for a minute, but it's just because my little handle is too long, so I shorten that up and then works out quite nicely. And I'm just using my ink blending tool to just smear, smudge, rub that ink all over the front of that hexagon. I'm going to clean up my workspace here, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the following 4 hexagons. Here I am struggling to get that off because I used my permanent adhesive. Just folding my handle there so that any excess ink that's on that piece of cardstock won't transfer onto the next hexagon that I'm working with. So now I'm using Tattered Rose. I'm just going to adhere that on there and then get Tattered Rose going on this hexagon. And I didn't do them in any specific order. I basically just grabbed a size and grabbed an ink, and whatever I ended up grabbing, that's how they got paired. So there isn't a rhyme or a reason behind which color goes with which hexagon. It was kind of just spur of the moment decision making. And I do tape my little coordinating ink blending pads on the bottom of my Distress Oxides so that I know which goes to which, because I don't have a handle for each of them. I just use 1 to 2 handles and save the space. So now I'm going in with peeled paint, and I finally broke out the temporary adhesive. Woohoo, go me! And I'm getting that adhered on there. Should have done that from the beginning, but you know, sometimes it takes a little bit of messing up to realize what you should have done. So that one was nice and simple because it wasn't too large, and I had a ton of ink already on that peeled paint little foam pad. Now we're going in with scattered straw, after I clean up my mess, of course. Again, temporary adhesive so that it doesn't rip the back of my hexagon. And just get this covered. And it goes super quickly because of how small these hexagons are that I chose to work with. And then last but not least, we are going to use wild honey. After I clean up my mess here. I try to keep my workspace semi-clean even though I am a messy crafter. I try. So here we are with wild honey, doing that smallest hexagon. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a quick story. So I went ahead and got this We Are Memory Keepers mixed media glass mat that you see me working on here. I thought it was white when I bought it. I'm a lover of white, so I was sold automatically. I was like, yes. And then I get it home, and I realize, well, yes, the back piece that like makes the glass opaque, not see-through, is white. The glass has a blue hue to it, so overall it ends up being a really light blue colored mat. And so then I was really miffed. I was like, oh, really? I'm gonna have a blue mat. Blue is, if you know me, blue is one of my least favorite colors. It's a very depressing color to me, light blue at least, so I tend to steer very clear of it. I'll pause our story here. I am just taking a few extra hexagons that I die cut and adhering them together. So that was 3 white hexagons, and then I went ahead and put my smallest colored hexagon on the top to give a little bit of dimension. And I'm only going to do this with 3 out of the 5 hexagons, but all 3 of them will have 3 built up behind the final 4th colored hexagon. So you'll watch me do that here. And I'll continue my story about this blue mixed media mat. So it's huge, which I love because I need a big working surface. Like I said, I'm a messy crafter, so my stuff gets everywhere. I need a big working surface, and I also wanted a surface that was big enough that would fit the frame of my filming of my camera. So, like I said, I got this home, I realized it was blue, and at first I really despised it. Then I started using it and I was like, okay, maybe I can deal with the blue because I really like the mat. I like the way that my ink blending tools glide across it, how I can just wipe it clean, etc., etc. So I went ahead and adhered those hexagons just in a random shape, whatever floated my boat at the minute. No rhyme or reason, just kind of plopped them on there, separating the ones with dimension to kind of scatter them about, and then using an olive green colored ink that matches the nice olive green that we use to color our hexagon. I went ahead and stamped Be Well My Friend, and that is also from the Big Dots sentiment set. And now I'm just going through my stash of sequins, trying to figure out what sequins I want to use on this card. I end up going with a nice matte gold sequin and just adhering those scattered across the front of the card. So to finish off my story about my glass mat, I didn't really love it until I started editing videos where I was using it, and I realized that while it is blue, it makes the white cardstock look so white and crisp, and it's easier to differentiate the white cardstock on the blue background than it would be white cardstock on a white background. So all of that to say, I ended up really loving this mixed media mat, and I am glad that I bought it. So I'm adhering those sequins with some glossy accents just because it's clear, it dries really nice and hard, so those sequins will stay put right where they are. I keep a needle stuck to the side of my glossy accents bottle because it gets clogged right there, so I just taped a needle on the side. I pull it out, I kind of like shove it in there and make sure that I have a nice flow, and then I just tape back on the side. That way I never have to go searching for a needle. And so these sequins are going to finish up the second card here. And then I think I'm going to show you an up-close view of both of the cards so you can see the final finished product of them both. And that'll wrap things up. There's that one up close, and then I will show you the other one up close as well. Like I said, a big thank you to Waffle Flower Crafts for working with me on this, for this little collaboration. I had so much fun making these cards, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I will have lots more crafty videos to come. Hit that little notification bell so you don't miss one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!